श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. The Gita Dhyana. ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणे. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. There is a verse from the Gita Mahatmyam, another set of 7 verses describing the glory of the Gita, where it is said Gita Sugita Kartavya. So, which means the Gita has to be studied well. Now, which Gita? There are many Gitas in our Shastras, but when we just say Gita, we mean the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is found in the 18th chapter or parva of the Itihasa Mahabharatam. Now, why should we study the Gita well? So, there is a reason, and for that we need to examine our life goals and pursuits. So, these are called, broadly classified into 4. I'm sure most of us are aware of this. Chaturvidha Purusharthas, the fourfold Purusharthas, namely Artha, Kama, Dharma and Moksha. Now, let us take the Artha Kama first. Artha literally means wealth. But the pursuit of Artha for us is the pursuit of security in life. So, we all need security in life, not only financial security in terms of bank balance or FDs or insurances and soft assets, property. All this definitely we would need and we may have also. But also in terms of emotional security, sense of belonging to groups and having a family. So that gives us the emotional stability. And intellectual stability, security also, I need a status in life also. And so the qualifications, my career is very, very important. All this will come under the Artha pursuit. Then the second we have is the Kama pursuit. Now the Kama, the word means desire. Desire for what? So Kama is a desire for pleasure. So the pleasure, which is a kind of happiness. No? At the end of a long day, what do I look forward to? I want to relax. I want to, have a good dinner and maybe enjoy a pizza or go on a vacation or watch Netflix movies. All these are pursuits of Kama. The happiness born of some form of contact, even relationships. No? The joy we derive from, enjoying a relationship is the Kama pursuit. Now, coming to the third pursuit, that is the Dharma pursuit. Now, the Dharma word we know is very contextual. And it is a huge topic. Our religion is called Sanatana Dharma, and dharma also translates to duty. Karma hi dharma hai. Hmm? And dharma also means values and attitudes. Yeah. But here in this context of Purushartha, dharma is that which is neither artha nor kama, but it is born of an inner maturity and sensitivity. So it is something that I don't really do for my own sake, but I do it as a punya karma. Hmm? So the punya karma, for example, you take a doctor offering free medical treatment. So that would give me a different kind of joy, the joy of sharing, one's resources or skill or wealth. So that is a dharma, punya karma, or a teacher, who stays back and gives free classes in slum dwellings, perhaps. So that gives another kind of joy. And such karmas, they would translate into what we call the invisible currency of punyam. So, punyam is something that is going to give me a favorable situation later in this life, or perhaps next life in some Svargaloka or in a future birth. So, these are the first three pursuits: dharma, artha, and kama, of which artha and kama, we see this in all the life forms, no, non-human life forms also. Yeah. But only dharma and the last one, which is called Paramapurushartha, moksha, is unique to a human. So, as it is said, Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham. Out of the 84 lakh species, the rarest of blessing is to be born as a human. Why is that? Because only in the human shariram, embodiment, does one enjoy the faculty of choice or free will. What free will does a cow have? The cow can achieve its maximum physical growth and become an adult cow, but it cannot initiate the emotional and intellectual growth. So, the free will for the case of a human being is the capacity to discriminate, initiate change, and achieve the maximum potential possible. And that is why it is a rare blessing as a human being. So now let's come to the moksha pursuit. Now, moksha, we all know, just means freedom or liberation. So, the Shastras define moksha in a negative way. So, moksha pursuit is not gaining something, as in the case of artha, kama, and dharma, but it is losing something. It is to be free from what binds me. And what is binding all of us? Something anishtam, something that I don't want. So that is the inner restlessness, the sense of inadequacy, insufficiency, and the dukkham. Nobody wants dukkham. Yeah, I don't want to feel limited and struggling as a jiva. So I want to be free from the sense of limitation, and that is what this Parama Purushartha moksha is all about. Yeah. Now, this moksha is addressing that fundamental issue of that needy person. When we examine our lives, we have taken a lot of insurance claims. We have possessions, property, a house, a family, a car, jewels, and bank balance. And we have a career. Perhaps I'm the CEO of a multinational, or an IIT graduate. And all these achievements. Yet, what is the present situation? Do I feel secure and peaceful and contented? I hope so. But more often than not, the answer is no. In fact, I may feel even insecure because I have the fear of losing what I have gained by my great effort. I may lose my title and my wealth, or members, in course of time. So then the Artha pursuit has not really given me the security, although it is a pursuit of security. And the Kama pursuit is not giving me the permanent fulfillment and satisfaction that I am hoping for. So even after years of 40, 50, 60, 80 years, what do I find? That there is still a needy, wanting, seeking, struggling me. And so the moksha pursuit is about the freedom from that fundamental sense uh, of seeking. And this is a universal fundamental problem. Yeah, that is, any human being in any part of the world is going to feel the sense of lack and the sense of want. So then, what is the solution? So this is why Gita Sugita Kartavya. So the Bhagavad Gita is going to show us a vision, give us a vision of a me that is happy here and now, that is peaceful, that is free from limitations, and that is all knowledge. So, but because I take myself to be a limited person, a mortal person, seeking, wanting person, then, then there is this unhappiness and dukkha. So this is what the moksha pursuit is all about. And when we come to the moksha pursuit, it is kept in the fourth place, because all of us definitely need to go through the artha pursuit and the kama and the dharma, and only then come to moksha. So then when we begin to examine life, then I begin to ask these questions. What am I doing? And what do I really want? Is there a connection between the two? So why was I born? And where am I going? Yeah. And what is the meaning and purpose of life? So all these questions are answered in the moksha pursuit. And that is why we need to study the Gita systematically over a period of time. Now, the Bhagavad Gita is also called the Veda Sara. Veda Sara is essence of the Vedas. You all know the Vedas are divided broadly into two, the Karma Kanda and the Jnana Kanda. So the Vedas tell us initially, that we all need to fulfill our, basic needs for Artha, Kama, Dharma. But then all these pursuits, having achieved them, should pave the way for the fourth. And that is coming to the Jnana Kanda, that is the moksha pursuit. That is the knowledge that will help me see myself as a complete, fulfilled, and peaceful being. So, texts like the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita is called Gita Upanishad, the essence of Upanishads, is going to show us the two lifestyles, Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga. That is how to be engaged in activity and yet be free from the fear of consequences, free from inner pressure, and that is, in other words, Karma Yoga. Then, what is Nivritti Marga? What is the path of renunciation? Why should I renounce? What should I renounce? And when should I renounce? So, all these are described in our Shastras, and how to come to the ultimate point of inner freedom and inner space. That is the vision of the Gita. So, really speaking, Bhagavad Gita is a moksha shastra. But having said that, the Bhagavad Gita also guides us how to navigate through life. And the different ashramas, brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, and eventually sannyasa. And it shows us the values and attitudes. All these are covered in great detail and wonderfully in the Bhagavad Gita. So with that introduction to the fourfold Purusharthas, see, Purusharthas are called Purushartha because Purushehi Arthyate iti Purushartha. So only the Purusha, here Purusha does not mean man, but a human. Only the human being endowed with the faculty of choice can pursue these fourfold pursuits. Yeah, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And in our culture, we place Dharma as the foremost. Because even Artha and Kama have to be pursued keeping Dharma in mind. Legitimately, may one derive security and pleasure, yeah, by dharmic means, and then eventually come to the moksha pursuit. So now coming to the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is a samvada. a dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. And it has 18 chapters. It is found in the 18th Parva of the Mahabharatam. And it is a dialogue, Upadesha, given by Krishna to Arjuna, where in the battle of Kurukshetra, in the present day Haryana state, and 5,000 years ago, it is said. So we saw the story about how there are these 100 sons of the blind king Dhritarashtra called Kauravas, and then the 5 Pandavas, Pandu Putras, the sons of Pandu, and they have no option but to begin this war. War is inevitable because it's a dharma yuddha. So the Kauravas, even in the childhood, they had troubled the Pandavas so much, tried to poison them, burn them in the house of lac, and dishonored Draupadi, and then sent them on exile and seized their rightful share of the kingdom. And even after returning from exile, the Pandavas are denied the kingdom. So there is no option. This is the last resort, and war is declared. Now, the war lasted also 18 days. Yeah. And so there is the significance of 18 there. So now, before the war begins, Arjuna and Duryodhana, they both go to Sri Krishna to seek his blessings. It's a lovely story where Sri Krishna is reclining and resting. And when he opens his eyes, he sees Arjuna and says, "What can I do for you, Arjuna?" And then Arjuna says, "I need your blessings." Then Krishna says, "Okay, I give you both a choice. Yeah. So one of you can have me, but a non-fighting me. So I will not take up any weapons, but you can choose me. And the other choice is my Yadava army. The Yadavas are very, very powerful. So you can have the Yadava army, and you can have one of the two choices." And without hesitation, Arjuna says, he was given the first chance because Krishna cited him first. He says, "We want you, Krishna." So Arjuna chose Dharma. Yeah. And so Krishna is on the side of Arjuna. And of course, that means the Yadava army goes to the Kauravas, and Duryodhana is delighted. So even there, the number is 11 Akshauhinis. Akshauhini means army units. Now they have been added to the Kauravas, and 7 Akshauhinis are on the side of the Pandavas. Yeah. So a total of 18 army units fought in the great war of Mahabharatam for 18 days. And but before the war, the Gita Upadesha happens on the battlefield. So now let us see the first verse. The first verse is the only verse where the blind king Dhritarashtra speaks. And what does he say? Dhritarashtra uvacha, Dhritarashtra uvacha, Dharma kshetre kurukshetre, Samaveta yutsavaha, Mamaka pandavas chaiva, Kimakurvata sanjaya. Now, before we do the verse, after the Gita Upadesha, what happened? The great Bhishma is, of course, on the side of the Kauravas. We saw the story of Bhishma in the last session, Ganga Putra, and he is the invincible one. But on the 10th day, Bhishma is struck and is lying wounded. Now, until then, Dhritarashtra was not really worried, and he was pretty sure they would win. But when he gets the news in the palace that Bhishma has fallen, then that is the time to get worried. So that is when he approaches or calls his minister, Sanjaya. Sanjaya has been gifted with the Divya Chakshu, that audiovisual power, to be a war reporter. And so this first verse is actually a flashback. So Sanjaya begins to narrate to the blind king from the day 1. Yeah, but he asked on the day 10, this Dhritarashtra. So that is a little point there. So what does Dhritarashtra say? Uvacha, O Sanjaya, my minister, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre. On that battlefield called Kurukshetra, which is a great Dharmakshetram. You know, Kurukshetra was perhaps the capital in those days. And it is a place where the Kuru lineage or the kings had performed a lot of yagas, and it's a Dharmakshetra. In fact, I had the blessing of visiting Kurukshetra from Rishikesh once. Very beautiful place. There's a huge Brahma Sarovar lake. There's a banyan tree, and they have built a nice glass enclosure. And within that, there is the chariot sculpture with Sri Krishna and Arjuna. And it's a very popular, place which attracts visitors every year. So Dharmakshetra, in that Kurukshetra, which is a Dharmakshetra, Samaveta Yuyutsavaha. Yuyutsavaha is those who are desirous to fight the great warriors who have assembled Samavetaha and Mamakaha. There are my people. Mamakaha and Pandavaha. Cha eva. Kim akurvata. What are they doing on the battlefield? So you see, now can you sense the anxiety has crept into the Dhritarashtra's mind after hearing the news that Bhishma is wounded? But you see, he is not only physically blind, but it is the blindness of ignorance. Why? Because he has initiated the civil war, and in the one Kuru clan, they have been divided. So this is why we say all the wars happen really in the mind. Yeah, so he says, Mamakaha, my people, my sons, and whoever is there on our side, and them, Pandavas, what are they both doing? So this is the opening question. And we see how the very first verse of Bhagavad Gita also starts with the word dharma. So in fact, it is said that Dhritarashtra is the single cause for the war to happen. His attachment to his son and being blind to their wrongdoings and offenses, he turned a blind eye, and then he never stopped them in any way, and so he's considered the cause for this anartha, for the war. Then let's go to next. What happens? So now Sanjay is narrating. Mahabharatam is a narration within a narration within a narration. Yeah, so we see Krishna is narrating to Arjuna. That is being narrated by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. Then that is narrated by the composer Vedavyasa. And then we see much later one sage, Vaishampayana, is narrating to Janamajaya. So Janamajaya is the son of Parikshit. Parikshit is the son of Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu is the son of Arjuna. So that is a whole story. Lots of stories are there in the Mahabharata. Very, very interesting. But for now, what does Sanjay do next? He is reporting from the Hastinapura palace of what happens on the battlefield. So let us see the next two verses. Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya Uvacha. Drishtva tu Pandavanikam. Drishtva tu Pandavanikam. Vyudham Duryodhanastada. Vyudham Duryodhanastada. Acharyamupasangamya. Acharyamupasangamya. Raja Vachanamabravit. Raja Vachanamabravit. So here, the second verse, Sanjay Uvacha. Sanjay narrates. Now, what happens is, both the armies are assembled and face to face and about to clash. And there is this no man's land between the two. Now, what happens? Sanjay says, O Dhritarashtra, this Raja Duryodhana, who has actually usurped the throne, Raja Duryodhana, he makes a survey. He assesses the whole battlefield. He looks around. And what does he do? Acharyam upasangamya. He approaches his Acharya. Now, who is the Acharya here? Referring to Dronacharya. Remember, Dronacharya is the one who taught all of them the warfare, the logistics, and archery. So here Acharya refers to Dronacharya. Upasangamya. Acharyam Upasangyam Sangamya. Raja, that is Duryodhana. Vachanam Abravi Tadha. So having seen what? Having seen the vyuhas, no, vyuhas, they had these formations, very intricately designed formations to trap their enemies. So all that he surveys and he approaches Dronacharya. Then verse number 3, Pashyetam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudham Drupadapatrena Tava Shishyena Dhimatam. And he addresses his own Acharya and says, Pashya etam Panduputranam, He Acharya, Mahatim Chamum Vyudham Drupadaputrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. Now, they had these great warriors on both sides. There was Drupada on one side, who is supposed to be the arch rival of this Acharya, Dronacharya. And the son of Drupada is this Drishtadyumna. Drishtadyumna is the commander-in-chief for the Pandavas. So here, look at the note of sarcasm. So Duryodhana says, look at this vast army, Mahati Chamu of the Pandavas, and led by the Drupada Putra, Drishtadyumna, who is your Shishya, your brilliant Shishya. Dhimata Shishyena Drupada Putrena. So, he, as though Dronacharya doesn't know that, he knows that all of them are his Shishyas only. So, here Duryodhana is just asking Dronacharya to look at the great army of the sons of Pandu. Then after that, there are many verses which are talking about the great Maharathas. Maharathas are the great warriors. Who's a Maharathi? Maharathi is the one who can single-handed challenge a whole battalion. That is the definition of a Maharathi. So here we find in the next verses, he talks about that on the side of Pandavas who all are assembled. There is Bhima and Arjuna, Yudhishthira. Then there is Satyaki, King Drupada, the Virat, King Virat, Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashi Raja, Purujit, then Uttamaujas, then the son of Subhadra, that is the great valiant Abhimanyu, who gets, trapped very unfairly, and the Draupadi's sons too. Draupadi had again 5 sons. So he says all of them are assembled on the side of Pandavas. And then Duryodhana continues, and Sanjay narrates that Asmakam, on our side also, there are a lot of people, there's a vast army also, and beginning with you, Bhavan, you, O Drona, then Bhishma. Now you see, Bhishma, remember, has taken the vow of celibacy, and because of that, he is invincible. So Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, all these people have pledged to support whoever rules Hastinapura. But their hearts may be with the Pandavas, right? So now Duryodhana says, on our side, hey Acharya, we have you, Bhishma, Karna. Karna, you all know, is the abandoned son of Kunti, right? Kunti, who was blessed with the birth of Karna by the grace of Surya Devata. But because she was not married, she set it afloat and abandoned. And that is Karna. He joined forces with Duryodhana. And all of these, Ashwathama is the, son of Drona, Ashwathama, then Vikarna. Now, Vikarna is supposed to be the only good person on the side of the Kauravas. Vikarna, Saumadatti, then lot of Shuras, great, valiant warriors. Who are they? They are all Yuddha Visharadaha. Yuddha Visharadaha means they are ready to sacrifice their life and they're, ready to fight for, my sake, mother thing. So actually, Duryodhana has offered them a lot of Artha Kama and kind of bought them. So now they have no choice but to be obliged and indebted to Duryodhana. So these are the armies he points out. And then Duryodhana mentions in the 10th shloka that, our army is well protected by Bhishma. Bhishma, and it cannot be overwhelmed. Yeah, and they also have Bhima, no doubt, and Arjuna. But it looks like, we are sufficient with Bhishma's presence. And so Duryodhana continues and says, so we must all protect Bhishma. Yeah, we must surround him and let nothing happen to him. Because otherwise, then defeat is assured for us. No? So there is a sense of anxiety also in Duryodhana's mind. And then what happens the very next moment, Bhishma takes the conch and blows the conch. Yeah. And that was a sign that may the battle begin. And once Bhishma blows the conch, then everybody else starts to blow their instruments. There are kettle drums and bugles and trumpets, and this was the classical way to begin a war in ancient times. No? Then we see how beautifully even the conches had names. So here some names are mentioned. Panchajanyam is Krishna's conch. Devadattam is Arjuna's. Poundram is Bhima's. Then Ananta Vijaya is Yudhishthira's. Then Sughosha, Mani Pushpaka are the conches of the twins Nakula and Sahadeva. Then all the other warriors, they all get ready. That martial spirit is awakened by all these sounds, which are making a deafening, earth-shattering sound on that Kurukshetra battle. Yeah. So all this has happened. No. Then finally, in 20th verse, we see that how even Hanumanji is blessing this Mahabharatam war. We all know that Hanumanji was very instrumental in the Treta Yuga, Ramayana, Rama-Ravana Yuddha. But then now Arjuna is called Kapidhvajaha. That is, in that chariot, the flag on top of the chariot of Arjuna's, there is the figure of Hanuman. So Hanuman says, I will just stay here and just see what's happening. And that is the blessing. So Arjuna's name is also Kapidhvaja. And these are the words spoken on the battlefield. Now, at this point, there is a sudden twist. There is a sudden change of circumstance, and that comes in the 21st shloka. Now, Arjuna, you have to imagine Arjuna is not only Arjuna, all the Pandavas, and especially Draupadi. They're all waiting to avenge their humiliation and their sufferings. Yeah. And but now what happens? Arjuna's mind suddenly presses the pause button. No? Let's see the shloka number 21. Arjuna uvacha सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापयमेच्युत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापयमेच्युत यावदेतान्निरीक्षेऽहं योद्धुकामानवस्थितान् कैर्मया सह योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे कैर्मया सह योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे. Suddenly Arjuna has a thought. And when Krishna was chosen by Arjuna, then Arjuna asks, will you be my charioteer? And Krishna graciously agrees. He says, yes. And so Krishna is known as Partha Sarathihi, the charioteer. So, so now Krishna is being asked by Arjuna. So Arjuna says, Senayoho Ubayoho Madhye Me Ratham Stapaya He Achyuta. It sounds like a command, Arjuna is commanding the Lord of the universe, Krishna Paramatma, and says, place my chariot in the middle of the two armies, so that I can see, Aham Ikshe, I can see who are all the people that have assembled here, to fight us. And who are here to support this Durbuddhi Duryodhana. What kind of people would do that? So I wish to see who are gathered here and who want to support Duryodhana. So kindly do that. And so what does Sri Krishna do? Sri Krishna complies, and he complies in a very intelligent way. So if he wanted, Sri Krishna could have placed the chariot in front of Duryodhana, Dushasana, and all the Ashwathama. But Sri Krishna pulls the chariot in front of the elders, the Drona and Kripa and Bhishma, for Arjuna to see. And that is what is mentioned here in verses 24 and 25. Sanjaya Uvacha एवमुक्तो हृषीकेशः गुडाकेशेन भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम् एवम् उक्तः हृषीकेशः गुडाकेशेन भारत. Having been thus addressed by Gudakesha, which is a name for Arjuna, Hrishikeshah Krishna Senayoho Ubhayoho Madhye Sthapayitva Rathottamam, and place the chariot in front of the two armies assembled, where Bhishma Drona Pramukhatah Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam Uvacha Partha Pashyetan Samavetan Kurun iti. Bhishma Drona Pramukhatah, in front of the chariots of Bhishma and Drona. And other elders, Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam, and Uvacha, and said, O Partha, O Arjuna, Pashya. Now look, Etan, Samavetan, Kurun iti. Look at all the Kurus now. This was your desire, and here we are. Now, Bhishma is like a great grandfather. They've all, played in his lap, and Drona is their teacher. The teacher for all these warriors. Now Krishna has placed the chariot in front of these most respected and loved elders. And obviously with a reason. Krishna is known to be mischievous, but very, very strategic. Had Krishna placed it in front of Duryodhana, then it would have reinforced the desire to fight. And Arjuna would have fought, and we would not have got any Gita Upadesha. Okay? But because Arjuna is now going to pause and reflect and hesitate and ask for the knowledge, we have the Gita Upadesha. So now, what does Arjuna see? What does Arjuna see next? Tatra apashyat. He sees all these people. He sees fathers, fathers-in-law, cousins, brothers, friends, well-wishers, teachers, elders on both sides. He looks to the left, to the right, and behind, and he sees what? Swajanam. Fathers-in-law, all these people. So then, Tan Samikshya Sa Kaunteyaha Sarvan Bandhun Avastitan Kripaya Paraya Vishtaha. So what happens to Arjuna? Kripaya Avishtaha. Kripaya means by compassion. Now Arjuna is filled with compassion. When he sees that, these are our people, now we have to fight against them, and he's overwhelmed with compassion. And what happens? Vishidan idam abravit. Shloka number 27. He's extremely sorrowful. Sorrowful because now that raga has popped up, the attachment. This is like if a doctor has to perform a surgery on his family member. then will he not hesitate? Yeah, because his hand will tremble. And or a judge, if he has to convict some known person as guilty, then unbiased, they are not able to do their duty because of that raga, the attachment. So the same thing happens here. Arjuna is filled with sensitivity and compassion, and when he sees that, all these people are our people, and why are we so divided and opposed with each other? So he's filled with sorrow. Then, as a result of that, we are going to see his physical condition becomes so terrible, and that is the next few shlokas. Arjuna uvacha drishtve swajanam Krishna yuyutsum samupasthitam sidanti mama gatrani mukhancha parishusyati vepatushcha sharire me रोमहर्षश्च जायते गाण्डीवं संस्रंसते हस्तात् त्वक्चैव परिदह्यते न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं भ्रमतीव च मे मनः. Very vivid description of what happens when there is an extreme situation experienced in the mind. The mind is going to affect the body. So Arjuna says, Drishtva imam swajanam, hey Krishna, all these people, having seen these people who are our relatives, friends, brothers, and kith and kin, yeah, seeing them, Sidanti mama gatrani, my limbs have lost their strength and my mouth has become dry, mukham cha parishusyati, my body is trembling and there are goosebumps, hair standing on the end. Then Gandiva, the Gandiva is the bow of Arjuna. The bow is slipping from my hand. Hastat and Tvak, the skin is burning. And Nacha Shaknomi avasthatum bhramati vacha me manaha. I am not able to even stand. I'm not able to stand, and my manas, my mind is confused. Yeah, unable to know what to do. Now, this is the case of a typical psychological conflict in the mind, which any one of us, would have experienced, and we experience. Yeah, the conflict in the mind, to do or not to do, what to do. So then, what happens? There are these responses. No, the flight response. One can choose to run away, escape a situation. Yeah, or be distracted in some way, or fight. We can resist a painful situation. Yeah, or freeze. So here Arjuna freezes. He doesn't know what to do. But Bhagavad Gita is going to show us another way to perform one's duty without any of these responses. Okay. So now, after this happens, now what has happened? The raga stage. The raga is the attachment. The attachment has come up. How can I kill my people? Now, look at Duryodhana and Dushasana. Do they have the Swajanam argument? Yeah, do they have any sympathy for the Pandavas? Certainly not. Yeah, but on this side, Arjuna being very compassionate, very sensitive, he embodies that Naraha. The Naraha, the human mind, which has a range of emotions. So that Arjuna is experiencing these extreme physical symptoms, and he says, Nimittani cha pashyami viparitani Keshava. Oh Keshava, now these are not auspicious signs at all. Yeah, not auspicious signs at all, and they are inauspicious. And then he says, very important, Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna Nacharajyam Sukhani cha Kinno Rajyena Govinda Kim Bhoge Jivitena va. Krishna, I do not want victory. I don't want kingdom. I don't want the comforts of the palace. Yeah. Of what use is all of it when we have to pay such a high price? Yeah. When those people for whom we are fighting the war, when they themselves are not going to be around, does it make any sense to go ahead with the war? So he's trying to say that nobody wins in a war. And that is true. Yeah. Everyone is going to suffer. And we know what was the outcome of this Mahabharatam? What? Just a handful of survivors and massive bloodshed and all that. But really, the teaching is yet to follow in the Bhagavad Gita. So here, looks like Arjuna is getting some temporary vairagyam. Yeah. Just now they've gone through the exile period. So if he does not get victory, how will he get the kingdom? If he does not get the kingdom, how will he get Sukham? So that means, is Arjuna ready to go back to the forest and to live on leaves and grass roots without the comfort of a Rajyam? So all this Krishna is going to point out. So then, Sanjay is narrating all this to Dhritarashtra. Now comes more arguments from the side of Sanjaya, of Arjuna. So Arjuna says, all these people, that we wish to kill, our fathers, fathers-in-law, cousins, brothers, and so on, I do not desire to kill them, Krishna, even if they kill me. So even if I am the target, let it be, but I do not want to shoot my arrows on any one of them. And then he continues and says that, have we not heard, Krishna, that when we destroy life, we will incur papa, we will go to Narakaloka. So Krishna remains quiet, silent. Why? Because Krishna is at this stage a very good friend, and he is letting Arjuna ventilate his mind. He does not interrupt him. And so Arjuna continues and says, Krishna, they are durbuddhis, but we know better. Why should we kill our own people? And if we do so, then he continues and says there will be kulakshayam. Kulakshayam means there will be nasha for the family. The family structure will collapse and children will become fatherless, and the stree dharmas will also collapse. And the women will have no protection. Yeah. And then dharma will perish and there will be varna sankaraha. Important word there comes in the 41st shloka. So this is definitely adharma, Krishna, because varna sankara is going to happen. Now varna sankara means the class and social confusion. If there are no people, then how can dharma be upheld? Who will perform the rituals? And then look the pindo the kriyaha. So our ancestors, will they not be denied the pindadanam? If there are no male members, how will they perform the, shraddha, tarpana karyas? So these are all the arguments put forth by Arjuna in favor of not going ahead with the war situation. And so he says, these are wrong actions, Krishna. It will destroy the, dharmas, and then it will create confusion in the society. Yeah, and definitely I will go to Naraka alone if I continue with the war. And then in the very end, 45th and 46th shloka, extremely overwhelmed by sorrow, Arjuna says, Aho batamahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yadrajya sukhalobhena hantum swajana mudyataha. Aho batamahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yadrajya sukhalobhena hantum swajana mudyataha. This is, alas, and due to greed. Why should we be greedy for a kingdom and a comfortable life, Krishna, at this expense of killing people? Yadi mama pratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhartra rashtrarane hanyuhu tanme kshemataram bhavet. Yadi mama pratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhatra rashtraha rane hanyuhu tat me kshemataram bhavet. So now Arjuna says that, we should not retaliate. And they are armed with weapons. Yeah, it will be better if the sons of Dhritarashtra kill me, me who am unarmed. Yeah, but I'm not prepared to cause all this Varna Sankaraha and collapse of everything in our society, in our family, and so on. It is indeed a great papam, and we should not be doing this. Yeah. So now you see what has happened in Arjuna's case. The raga has led to shoka, and the shoka, sorrow, has covered his mind with moha. So, moha means what? Delusion. So, there is a dharma, adharma, total confusion in Arjuna's mind. Remember in the exile period, what were they all doing? They were stockpiling weapons and they were exhausting that period in order to come and wage the war. And now, when that moment has come, how can Arjuna abandon or forget his Kshatriya dharma? So, being a Kshatriya, that is his foremost duty. Karma hi dharma hai. Like our armed forces, this is their motto. If anybody at the border also retreats, refuses to defend the country, then that will be a case of court martial. Yeah, there is a punishment for that. So, then what happens finally, the last shloka of the chapter 1 is how he is going to collapse. Sanjaya uvacha evamukvarjuna sankhye rathopastha upavishat visrijya sasharan chapam shoka samvigna manasaha. एवमुक्त्वार्जुनः संख्ये रथोपस्थ उपाविशत् विसृज्य सशरं चापं शोकसंविघ्नमानसः. Arjuna becomes a shoka samvigna manasaha, one whose mind is overwhelmed by shoka, and it is filled with moha also. What happens? Evam uktva, having given all these arguments, that Arjuna sankhye, in the battlefield, rathopastha upavishat, sat down in the chariot, visrajya sasharam chapam, and casting aside the bow and the arrow. The Gandiva was anyway slipping from his hand, but now he puts it aside and just collapses in the chariot. Yeah. So, you see, this is the extreme case is taken here, but it can happen to any one of us. No? When there is a painful, difficult situation in life, when we are not able to, run away and we are not able to proceed, we also feel stuck in similar situations. Yeah. So here Arjuna says, I will not fight because his mind is filled with raga, moha, and shoka. So this is why chapter 1 is famous in the Bhagavad Gita for presenting the fundamental problem of why there is shoka. So whenever there is sorrow, that means it is related to raga, dveshas. Yeah, raga, dveshas. And it is a conflict in the mind. And that is why Kurukshetra is really the mind. And Dharmakshetram is the body. And in the mind, there are the Kauravas and Pandavas. And there is a conflict to do or not to do, what to do, how to do. And then that is the battlefield. And so Arjuna is not able to perform his Kshatriya dharma because of this conflict. Yeah. And he just collapses. No? So now Krishna has not opened his mouth at all in the first chapter. And because he is being a very good friend, understanding, sympathetic friend, and giving Arjuna the time to ventilate. Yeah. But now, what is the message of the Gita? So, the message of the Gita is going to be doing what is to be done. Yeah, even if it is painful, why should one do what is to be done? Because it is Ishvara's order. Yeah, it is a part of a divine plan. And Krishna is going to unfold that in the later chapters and tell Arjuna, Arjuna, you are not going to kill Bhishma and Drona. You have to only support dharma being an instrument. Yeah? Nimitta matram bhava savya sachin. I have already killed them. Krishna is going to say, I have already killed them. How? Because of the time. I am the all devouring time. I am the destiny. So one's own karma, would destroy the wicked people. You just have to stand and shoot a few arrows, is what Krishna is going to tell Arjuna later. Yogastak kuru karmani sangam taktva karoti yaha siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva yoga karmasu kaushalam. So now come on, display your skill in action. Be inwardly detached, centered on me, and let the body, and perform its functions as a kshatriya upholding dharma. Because if Arjuna does not, shoot the arrows and uphold the kshatriya dharma, what is likely to happen? The Duryodanas will be empowered. They will be increasing adharma. Is that what you want? Krishna would have said this to Arjuna. That is not a desirable situation at all. So each one of us, for each one of us, there is a divine plan. There is Ishvara's will, and so the Bhagavad Gita is going to show how one can do what is to be done in a very balanced and peaceful way also. So that inner renunciation, inner detachment from the fruits of the action is all that is going to follow. In fact, when Arjuna says we will go to Naraka, just the opposite is true. The one who performs a Kshatriya Dharma, there is supposed to be a Veera Swarga for them. There's a special, allocation of a heavenly loka for such warriors who, gave up their lives in such a battle. Yeah. And so what is Arjuna going to do? So you see, now the chapter 1 has diagnosed the disease. The samsara is in the mind. And the treatment for this bhava samsara is going to come in chapter 2. So what is Arjuna going to do? We are going to see in chapter 2. Arjuna is not going to run away, but he knows in the mind that Krishna knows more than him. Yeah. So he is going to say, Krishna, you see much more than I do. You know more than I do. Yat shreyaha asti tanme bruhi shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. So Arjuna is going to say, what is shreyas for me? What is the ultimate good for me? You tell me that, Krishna, and I will do that. And I am your Shishya. That is in the second chapter. Okay, chapter 2, very famous Sharanagati mantra of Arjuna. And it is then alone that Krishna begins the Upadesha with verse number 11 of chapter 2 called Sankhya Yoga. So, you see in chapter 1, what have we seen? We have seen these are the shlokas here. First, we saw how Sanjay narrates that Duryodhana describes the armies and the preparations from verses 1 to 20. And then Arjuna requests the chariot to be placed in the middle of the two armies, and how his mind changes and suffers from the attachment, raga, and leading to shoka, and then ultimate delusion, that is moha. And because Arjuna's grief is the main topic here, this chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Now, at the end of every chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, we have a common line, which I will read out now. And every chapter of the 18 chapters has a topic. For example, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, chapter 1, Sankhya Yoga, chapter 2. So, yoga, the word stands for a theme or a topic in this context. Let's now chant this last line. Om इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे अर्जुनविषादयोगो नाम प्रथमोऽध्यायः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।